Let me tell you something real right now. Some of you out here keep wondering why your life looks the same every single year. You pray for it. You talk about it. You post about it. But you don't live it. You got dreams, but you don't got discipline. You got goals, but you don't got grind. You got a vision, but you don't got the work ethic to make that vision a reality. That, let me say it straight, you have no discipline. That's why you keep starting and stopping. That's why you keep making excuses. That's why you keep saying, on Monday I'll start. That's why you keep hitting snooze. Because when it comes down to doing what needs to be done, your emotions run your life. And that's the enemy of greatness. You wake up and you feel tired, so you skip the workout. You get a little discouraged, so you take a day off from your goals. You're real sad, so you eat whatever you want. You feel bored, so you scroll for hours. Every decision you make is being filtered through your emotions, and that's the problem. And that's why you're stuck. That's why your life hasn't shifted. That's why you keep dreaming but never execute it, because you let your feelings dictate your action. But discipline doesn't care about your mood. Winners don't move based on emotion. They move based on commitment. They move because the standard demands it, not because they're in the mood. And until you learn to separate your feelings from your actions, you'll always be a prisoner to inconsistency. You have to understand something about discipline. It's not about being robotic. It's about being in control. It's about saying, I don't feel like doing this right now, but I'm going to do it anyway because it aligns with who I want to become. That's power. That's what real freedom looks like. What discipline is making a decision in advance and sticking to it regardless of how you feel later. And most people can't do that. Most people change their mind the moment discomfort enters the picture. Most people give up at the first sign of resistance. Most people quit because they're emotionally soft. You say you want to be great, but the moment the situation gets tough, you check out. You make excuses. You justify. You let yourself off the hook, and that's exactly why you can't break through. You can't stay locked in. You can't stay focused because you let the temporary emotion override the permanent goal. Think about how many things you started with passion and then abandoned because the motivation disappeared. Motivation is a high. It's a spark. It gets you going, but it doesn't keep you going. Discipline is the engine. Discipline is the fuel that keeps the fire burning when the excitement dies out. You can't rely on being hyped every day. You can't count on being inspired all the time. You can't hope you'll feel like grinding. The truth is, some days you won't. And those days matter the most. Anybody can work when they feel good. Anybody can push when the mood is right. But the ones who rise, the ones who dominate, they push through when every part of them wants to stop. They understand that emotion is temporary, but progress is earned through showing up consistently, especially on the hard days. Most people are emotionally reactive. Something bad happens, they spiral. They have a rough morning, and the whole day gets wasted. One piece of criticism, and they quit. They live in cycles of mood swings and emotional excuses, but discipline is proactive. It builds structure around chaos. It creates a framework so that even when the storm comes, you don't drift. You stay the course because you're anchored to purpose, not swayed by feelings. And when you start operating from that place, everything changes. Your decisions become more intentional. Your energy becomes more focused. You stop wasting time wondering what to do, and you just do what needs to be done. Discipline means you wake up at the time you say you would, even if you're tired. Discipline means you follow through on your word, even if you're scared. Discipline means you finish what you started, even when it's boring. Discipline is your promise to yourself, kept every single day. And every time you keep that promise, you build confidence. Every time you show up, even when you don't feel like it, you reinforce the belief that you are someone who follows through. That belief is everything. That belief is what separates average from elite. The average person only does what's easy. The disciplined person does what's necessary. People talk about a mental toughness like it's some magic skill, but it's not. It's developed. It's trained. And the way you train it is by doing hard things regardless of your emotions. You train it by pushing through discomfort, by staying consistent when nothing around you is convenient. You train it by making discipline your default. That means you don't need to think twice. You don't need to negotiate with yourself. You don't need to decide every single time. You already decided. You already committed. Discipline removes the daily debate. It says, this is what I do no matter what. That's how you become unstoppable. That's how you build grit. Now, you say you want to level up, you say you want to succeed, then you better be willing to master discipline. Not sometimes, not sometimes. Not on good days, every day. Because discipline is not an event, it's a lifestyle. It's the difference between quitting and enduring. It's the bridge between dreams and results. And every time you give into emotions, every time you skip the hard stuff, every time you make an excuse, you burn that bridge a little more. But every time you ignore how you feel and follow through anyway, you rebuild it, you strengthen it. You get one step closer to the person you were meant to be. There will always be distractions. There will always be temptation. There will always be moments when you feel like quitting. But those are the moments that count. Those are the tests. And you got to decide how you're going to pass or you're going to fold. Because life rewards those who can do what they need to do, not just what they want to do. That's discipline. It's not flashy. It's not always fun, but it's effective. And if you want to break cycles, if you want to shift your future, you have to stop letting your mood be your master. You have to stop being a slave to your feeling and start being a servant to your mission. The mission doesn't wait. The mission doesn't care if you're tired, stressed, or uncomfortable. The mission needs execution. And execution requires discipline. Success doesn't show up for the person who works hard one day and disappears the next. It doesn't reward the person who posts motivational quotes but doesn't follow through when it's time to act. Success doesn't respond to, it responds to discipline. And discipline creates consistency, not just in action, but in identity. When you're disciplined, you do the work whether you feel like it or not. You repeat the right habits over and over until they become who you are. You don't hope for a good day. You build one brick by brick through repetition. You become someone the world can count on because you've trained yourself to be consistent, not convenient. Most people are chasing quick fixes. They want the results now with the least amount of effort. They start something, they try for a week, and when they don't see fireworks, they quit. That's because they don't have consistency. They don't understand that nothing significant ever happens overnight. Real progress is slow, it's gritty, it's repetitive, it's unglamorous. And that's where discipline comes in. Discipline says, oh, do it again. Discipline says, oh, keep going. Discipline says, oh, put in the work even when no one's clapping. That's where champions are made. Not in the spotlight, but in the shadows where consistency is forged. You want a strong body, you better be consistent in the gym. You want financial freedom, you better be consistent in managing your money. You want a better life, you better be consistent in your decision, your mindset, your effort. The people who win in life aren't lucky, they're disciplined. They build systems, they created routine. They've mastered the art of showing up. And because they keep showing up, results start stacking. Momentum starts building. Confidence starts growing. All because of one word, consistency. But you can't have consistency without discipline. Motivation won't get you there. Motivation is a spark, but it fades. Discipline is the firewood. It keeps the fire burning through the night. When you rely on motivation, you rely on something outside of yourself. But when you operate from discipline, you're anchored to your purpose. You're driven by your standard. You've trained yourself to follow through regardless of circumstances. And the more you follow through, the more consistent you become. The more consistent you become, the more success becomes inevitable. Most people think discipline is about self-control, but it's bigger than that. It's about alignment. It's about aligning your actions with your goals. Every time you act out of discipline, you reinforce your identity as someone who doesn't quit. Every time you do the hard thing instead of the easy thing, you build consistency. You train your body and your mind to show up. You begin to rewire your brain for focus, repetition, and growth. You stop getting distracted by shiny things and start locking in on what matters. That's the power of discipline. It builds a life that's not dictated by moods, but by mission. Consistency is the evidence of discipline. You can say you're committed, but your actions reveal the truth. How you show up daily is a direct reflection of the standards you set for yourself. If you only work when it's easy, if you only grind when someone's watching, if you only focus when everything is perfect, You're not disciplined. You're conditional. And conditional effort produces conditional result. But when you have discipline, you bring the same effort on the bad days that you do on the good days. You show up tired, you show up frustrated, you show up unmotivated, but you show up, that's what builds consistency. That's what separates amateurs from professionals. Amateurs work when they feel good. Professionals work regardless. Discipline eliminates the need for decision fatigue. You don't have to wake up wondering, should I do this today? You already know the answer, yes. Because discipline turns intention into a pattern. It transforms goals into rituals. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop giving yourself an out. You create non-negotiables. And those non-negotiables build consistency. They turn you into someone who gets things done, whether it's raining or shining, whether it's convenient or chaotic, whether it's comfortable or painful. And here's the truth about consistency. It compounds. You might not see the reward right away. You might go weeks or months without applause, without recognition, without payoff. But the work is stacking, the growth is happening. It's just not loud. It's not flashy, but it's real. Every rep, every session, every disciplined choice is making you stronger. It's shaping your future. You're either building consistency or you're breaking it. And every time you skip, delay, or quit, you weaken your foundation. But every time you show up, you reinforce it, you lay another brick, you get one step closer to mastery, You don't need more intensity, you need more consistency. Too many people try to go all out for a week and then crash. They burn bright, then burn out. That's not sustainable. Real success isn't built on one good week. It's built on months and years of steady progress. And steady progress only comes from discipline. It comes from doing what needs to be done again and again and again. The boring stuff, the unsexy stuff, the daily grind that no one celebrates. But that's the stuff that moves the needle. That's the stuff that changes lives. That your future is hidden in your daily habits. The way you do the small things determines the way you'll handle the big things. Discipline trains you to treat every action with purpose. It teaches you to respect the process. It humbles you. It breaks down the illusion that success is some magical event. It shows you the truth that success is earned through discipline, paid for in full through consistencies. And when you finally start to live by that principle, when you start stacking days, not chasing moments, when you commit to the process without needing results right away, that's when everything begins to shift. That's when discipline transforms into consistency, and consistency transforms into power. You want to know who you're going to be a year from now. Look at what you're doing every single day. Look at your habits. Look at your habits. Look at your routines. Look at your patterns. Because your future isn't determined by your wishes, it's built by your habits. And most people want to change their lives, but they don't want to change their habits. They think they can get new results with the same old behaviors. They want breakthrough without breakdown. They want transformation without discipline. But you can't live like that and expect anything different. What you do consistently is who you become. Your habits are the system that either pull you toward greatness or keep you locked in mediocrity. Every small choice you make is either building momentum or stealing it. You don't rise to the level of your potential. You fall to the level of your habits. A person can say all the right things, read all the right books, watch all the motivational video. But if their daily habits don't match their vision, it's all empty, it's all noise. Your habits are your true resume. They speak louder than your words. They reveal your priorities. You can say you want to be fit, but if your habits say laziness, excuse it, inconsistency, then that goal will never come alive. You can say you want to be successful, but if your habits say procrastination, comfort, distraction, you're lying to yourself. You can't fake habits. You either have them or you don't. You either train them or you don't. And the life you live today is a reflection of the standards you've enforced through your daily behavior. If you want a better life, you have to build better habits. The problem is that people want massive changes without embracing small disciplines. They overlook the power of the little things done daily. They ignore the morning routine. They neglect the planning. They skip the uncomfortable but necessary tasks. But those little habits compound. They accumulate over time. They shape your mindset, your discipline, your resilience. Every time you choose a good habit, you train yourself to respond better to pressure. You prepare yourself for opportunities. You become sharper, quicker, more focused. On the other hand, when you neglect discipline, when you skip the small commitments, you start to fall apart. Your confidence fades. Your performance dips. Your performance dips. And eventually you lose your grip on the vision you once had. You don't need to overhaul your entire life in one day. That's not how real growth happens. Real growth happens through intentional repetition. It happens when you show up again and again, even when you don't see results right away. It happens when you build habits that reinforce your goals instead of opposing them. And it all starts with awareness. You have to be honest about what you're doing every day. You have to look in the mirror and ask, are my habits pushing me forward or holding me back? Because nothing changes until you change the things you do without thinking. Habits are automatic. They run on autopilot. So if your autopilot is set to comfort, you'll never land in progress. Your habits must match your hunger. If you say you want to be a leader, do your habits reflect discipline, preparation, self-control? You say you want to be wealthy, do your habits reflect delayed gratification, smart investments, constant learning? If you say you want to be a high performer, do your habits reflect focus, rest, execution? If the answer is no, then your life will remain stuck in a cycle of frustration. And the worst part is, the longer you stay in that cycle, the harder it is to believe that change is possible. That's why you have to get serious about your habits now. You have to audit your lifestyle and eliminate the patterns that are feeding weakness. You have to remove the excuses, the distractions, the shortcuts. You have to create an environment that forces growth. That means surrounding yourself with people who push you, not people who validate your laziness. That means putting structure in place so you don't have to rely on willpower. That means locking in on the process even when results are invisible. People think it takes some supernatural ability to be disciplined. It doesn't. It takes structure. It takes identity. You have to wake up each day and ask, what kind of person do I want to be? And then you have to behave like that person. Not once, not when it's convenient. Every day. That's how habits form. Through consistency, through repetition, through alignment. When your habits are aligned with your values, life feels different. You feel clear. You feel strong. You start to build momentum because your life has order, and order is what gives you power. Chaos kills discipline, but order builds it. You're not stuck because you're incapable. You're stuck because your habits haven't evolved. You're trying to solve new problems with the same mindset that created them. You keep going back to the familiar, the easy, the comfortable. But transformation lives in unfamiliar territory. Growth happens when you stretch beyond your default settings. You have to reprogram yourself. That means choosing discomfort. That means doing the thing you avoid. That means stacking habits that serve your vision, not your feelings. And the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. At first, it's hard. At first, it feels foreign. But that's the cost of change. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be consistent. You just have to keep showing up, keep doing the reps, keep honoring the process. Because habits don't just shape your results, they shape your identity. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you're casting a vote for the person you're becoming. And those votes matter. They accumulate. They create a life. Not all at once, but over time. And time will always expose your habits. Time will always reveal whether you've been preparing or procrastinating, whether you've been building or breaking, whether you've been disciplined or distracted. And if you want the future to look different than the past, the only way to get there is through better habits. Habits that reflect commitment. Habits that reflect character. Habits that reflect the greatness you say you want to live. Most people lose not because they lack talent, not because they don't have potential, but because they don't know how to manage their time. They treat time like it's unlimited. They treat it like they can waste it, spend it, give it away, and somehow still have enough left to achieve their goals. But time is the most precious resource you have. You can't buy more of it. You can't rewind it. Once it's gone forever. And the people who understand this are ruthless about how they use their time. They guard it. They structure it. They assign it. They don't waste it on meaningless distractions. They don't spend it trying to please everybody. They don't allow other people's emergency to become their schedule. They know exactly what they're working toward, and every minute of the day reflects that mission. There are people right now with half your talent who are living the life you dream of, not because they're more gifted, but because they respect their time. They have routines, they have schedules, they plan their days. They don't wake up and to see what happens. They wake up with intention. Every hour is accounted for. Every task is aligned with a goal. Every moment is used to build something. And that's what discipline looks like in the real world. It's not just grinding for the sake of grinding. It's organized effort. It's productive energy. It's maximizing every block of time with purpose. You want to reach the next level? Then you better take an honest look at how you're spending your time. How many hours are you losing to scrolling? How many days are you wasting in indecision? How much energy are you giving to things that don't move your life forward? Time management isn't just about to-do lists. It's about alignment. Are your actions in alignment with your vision? Are you using your time like someone who's serious about winning? Because if you're not, then your results will reflect that. Doesn't matter how good your intentions are if your time is constantly misused. Intentions don't build legacies. Execution does. And execution requires structure. Now the limitation is a weapon. When your life is structured, your energy becomes focused. You stop wasting time on decisions that don't matter. You stop getting distracted by every little thing that comes your way. You lock in. You create systems that support consistency, and those systems remove the guesswork. You already know what to do and when to do it. That clarity is where freedom comes from. Because the truth is, most people don't need more hours. They need better discipline with the hours they already have. They're not tired because they're working hard. They're tired because their time is scattered. They're tired because they're constantly reacting instead of proactively leading their life. Discipline with time means you learn to say no. Not every opportunity is for you. Not every invitation deserves a yes. Not every distraction is worth your energy. You can't let people pull you in 100 directions and then wonder why you're not moving forward. You've got to protect your time like it's sacred, because it is. You've got to design your day before someone else designs it for you. That means setting boundaries. That means identifying your priorities. That means scheduling your growth. Success is not accidental. It's scheduled. It's written into your calendar. It's built into your habits. It's a product of deliberate planning. Not random effort. You can't keep waiting for the perfect time to get serious. You'll never find the time. You have to make time. You have to carve it out of your schedule, out of your distractions, out of your comfort zone. And that means letting go of things that feel good but serve no purpose. That means replacing mindless activity with meaningful progress. That means cutting the fluff and locking in on the fundamentals. Most people are busy but not productive. They're active but not effective. They confuse motion with progress. But if what you're doing isn't aligned with your highest goals, it doesn't matter how hard you work. You're still wasting time. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters most. It's about being intentional. It's about understanding that every minute is a decision. Every hour is a vote for the life you're creating. And the disciplined person uses time as a tool. They break their goals into blocks. They batch tasks. They eliminate distractions. They don't just, they'll find time to work on their dreams. They block it off like it's a meeting with their future self. And they honor that appointment because they know that the gap between where they are and where they want to be is filled with how they use their time. That time is the equalizer. Everyone gets the same 24 hours. What you do with those hours is what separates you. You can't buy more, you can't borrow it, but you can leverage it. You can use it to grow, to learn, to build, to create. You can use it to invest in your mind, your health, your craft. Or you can use it to drift, to delay, to distract. But you don't get both. You can't claim to want success and then spend your time like it doesn't matter. You can't say you're hungry and then feed yourself garbage hours of low-value activity. If it's not helping you, it's hurting you. If it's not building you, it's breaking you. And that's the level of accountability you need to bring to your time. There are no shortcuts. You're not going to find some secret hack that gives you more time than anyone else. You just have to manage it better. You just have to eliminate what's unnecessary. You just have to stop wasting your mornings, stop giving your evenings away, stop filling the gaps with noise. Because every moment you waste is a moment you'll never get back. And every moment you honor becomes a brick in the foundation of your future. The most successful people in the world aren't always the smartest or the strongest. They're just the most disciplined with their time. They understand its value. They move with urgency. They don't need reminders because their purpose is loud enough. They wake up and get to work not because they have to, but because they know what's at stake. They know what it costs to waste time. They know what it costs to drift. And they're not willing to pay that price with their potential. Most people want to win, but aren't willing to sacrifice anything to do it. They want success, but not at the cost of comfort. They want transformation, but they're not ready to give up distraction. They want the results, but they don't want to pay the price. Discipline, though, doesn't work that way. Discipline demands sacrifice. You can't keep everything and still move forward. You can't hold on to bad habits, weak environments, toxic relationships, and expect elevation. At some point, something has to go. Something has to be left behind. Something has to be cut loose. Because every time you say yes to discipline, you say no to something else. No to excuses. No to laziness. No to time wasting. No to instant gratification. And that a no is what creates room for the yes that leads to growth. You gotta stop thinking you can live like everyone else and still stand out. You gotta stop trying to fit in with average and still expect extraordinary. You can't watch what they watch, scroll like they scroll, sleep like they sleep, and think you'll somehow outwork or outlast them. That's not how this works. If you want to win, if you want to evolve, then you got to be willing to do what others won't. You got to be willing to look crazy to the world while you're building something powerful in private. You've got to be willing to make choices they won't understand, choices that protect your time, your energy, your future. And those choices, they come with sacrifice. That discipline says, not right now, when everyone else says, just once won't hurt. Discipline says to keep going when your body says to stop. Discipline says a focus when your mind wants to wander. But in order to even hear that voice, you got to first silence the noise of comfort. You've got to be willing to sit with the discomfort that comes from letting go. Because you have to let go of comfort, of ease, of shortcuts. Of comfort, of ease, of shortcuts. Success does not come without cost. And discipline is what teaches you to pay that cost every single day. Whether it's waking up earlier, eating cleaner, studying longer, training hard, sacrificing sleep, fun, social time, whatever it takes. There's a price tag on every dream, and the currency is always discipline. That every time you give in to comfort, you give up a little bit of your future. Every time you take the easy route, you rob yourself of growth. Every time you choose pleasure over purpose, you delay the version of you that's waiting to be born on the other side of sacrifice. And it's not that the sacrifice is punishment, it's preparation. It's what molds you. It's what builds resilience. It's what sharpens focus. When you start sacrificing the things that hold you back, you begin to build the strength to move forward. You clear space, you gain clarity, you create momentum, and that's when discipline becomes a lifestyle, not a temporary phase. People always ask how to stay motivated, how to stay consistent. And the answer isn't more motivation. It's deeper commitment. It's making a decision so solid that quitting doesn't even feel like an option. And that kind of commitment requires giving something up. You can't be half in and half out. You can't say you're committed and still entertain habits that lead you nowhere. You gotta burn the bridge back to average. You gotta shut the door on excuses. You gotta sacrifice the part of you that wants to stay safe in order to awaken the part of you that's meant to soar. You won't always see immediate returns. That's part of the sacrifice to delay gratification. Choosing to invest now for a harvest you might not see for weeks, months, even years. That's discipline. Discipline doesn't just sacrifice comfort, sacrifices impatience. It sacrifices the desire for quick rewards. It said, I'll wait. I'll keep planning. I'll keep showing up. I'll keep doing the work. And while everyone else is chasing shortcuts, discipline is building something solid, something lasting, something real. And don't think it gets easier just because you start seeing results. If anything, the sacrifices grow as the stakes rise, the price rise. More responsibility means more structure. More growth means more pressure. More success means more demand. And if you haven't trained yourself to sacrifice the unnecessary, the non-essential, the undisciplined behavior, you'll lose everything you built. The foundation has to be strong enough to carry the weight of the dream. And that foundation is sacrifice. Giving up who you were to become who you're meant to be, discipline, teaches you to love the process more than the outcome. Because the process is the real win. It's where character is built. It's where focus is sharpened. It's where strength is born. And the more you embrace sacrifice, the more you find freedom. Freedom from guilt. Freedom from distraction. Freedom from the need to impress or conform. When you sacrifice, what doesn't matter? You gain power. Power over your day. Power over your choices. Power over your destiny. Because you're no longer controlled by comfort or cravings or chaos. You're living by vision, guided by purpose, and fueled by discipline. Most people want balance, but what they really need is priority. You can't balance everything if you're not clear on what matters most. You can't manage time if you're not managing attention. And you can't move forward if you're constantly weighed down by what you refuse to let go of. Discipline is about deciding what's essential and then sacrificing everything that's not. It's about removing the clutter, the noise, the fluff. It's about simplifying your life so that you can maximize your potential. And every time you make that decision, every time you choose sacrifice, you step into more of your power. You don't rise by accident. You rise because you made 1,000 disciplined choices that no one saw. You rise because you've given up the easy road, the average life, the excuses. You rise because you've trained your mind and your body to obey your vision. And that kind of mastery, that kind of excellence, it only comes through sacrifice. Through saying no when it's tempting to say yes. Through staying in when the world is going out. Through pushing through the silence, the struggle, the solitude, because you know what's on the other side. That discipline without sacrifice is just a wish. You can't fake your way to greatness. You have to give something up. You have to let something die. And when you do, something greater is born. Something stronger, something wiser, something unstoppable. That's the reward of sacrifice. That's what discipline gives you. Not just success, but a new standard, a new identity, a new way of showing up in the world. One decision at a time, one sacrifice at a time, one disciplined day at a time. You say you want change, but you keep quitting when it gets hard. You say you want to be successful, but the moment the pain shows up, you run. That's not how discipline works. Discipline is not just about doing the right thing when it feels good. It's about doing the right thing, especially when it hurts, especially when you're tired, especially when you don't feel like it. That's where your strength is built. That's where your edge is formed. That discipline doesn't show up in your comfort zone. It shows up in the tension, in the sacrifice, in the sweat. In the resistance, anybody can keep going when it's easy. Anybody can stay focused when it's exciting. But the moment that excitement fades, when the results don't come fast, when the process starts getting boring, that's when most people fold. That's when they hit snooze. That's when they stop pushing. That's when they decide maybe this goal wasn't for them after all. But the ones who win, the ones who separate themselves, are the ones who keep going regardless. When you understand what's at stake, you push through the pain. You push through the pain. You push through the failure. Not because you enjoy it, but because you know what's on the other side of it. Discipline is doing the work when there's no applause, when there's no guarantee, when there's no one around to hold your hand or clap for your progress. You still show up. You still train. You still commit because you're not doing it for approval. You're doing it for progress. You're not doing it for validation. You're doing it for transformation. You're not chasing comfort. You're chasing greatness. And greatness lies beyond the line of convenience. That pain is part of the process. It's not the enemy. It's the test. It's the gateway. The real question is, can you stay locked in when life hits? Can you stay disciplined when your body says stop? Can you stick to your routine when nothing is going right? When you're broke, when you're tired, when you're overwhelmed? Because those are the moments that define you. Not the highlight reels, not the easy seasons, not the days when everything goes your way. No, the real growth happens on the days when nothing works and you still refuse to quit. The days when it would be easier to make an excuse, but you make progress instead. That's what separates average from elite. That's what separates talk from transformation. That discipline is about consistency over intensity. Anyone can go hard for a day. Anyone can give 100% for a week. But what about a year? What about 5 years? What about a decade of showing up, improving, learning, falling, and rising again? That's what it takes to build something meaningful. That's what it takes to create real, lasting change. You can't keep stopping and starting and expect momentum. You can't keep quitting every time it gets tough and expect breakthroughs. You've got to stay in it, stay locked in, stay rooted in your reason. Because if your why is strong enough, no storm will shake you. Too many people build their habits on feeling. They only act when they feel inspired. But discipline isn't about how you feel. It's about what you've committed to. It's a decision backed by action, not emotion. If you only move when you feel like it, you'll always be inconsistent. When you move out of principle, when you stay aligned with your values, even when your emotions waver, that's power, that's control. That's what it means to lead yourself. Real discipline is self-leadership. No one has to check in on you. No one has to remind you. You hold yourself to the highest standard. You show up because your vision demands it, because your goals deserve it, because your future is worth it. When things get hard, you don't shrink, you rise. You don't look for a way out, you dig deeper. You don't retreat to comfort, you lean into the challenge. That's the difference between people who dream and people who achieve. It's not talent, it's not background, it's not luck, it's discipline. The ability to do what needs to be done no matter how you feel. To keep going when you've got every reason to stop. To lock in and execute, even when the fire of motivation has burned out. Because discipline isn't a feeling, it's a muscle, and the more you use it, the stronger it gets. You have to build the habit of finishing, of seeing things through, of sticking to the plan, of honoring the commitment even after the mood you made it and is gone. That's what separates the amateurs from the professionals. The amateurs dabble, the professionals endure. They train through pain. They focus through noise. They work through fatigue. And they trust the process, not just when it's smooth, but especially when it's rough. Because the valley seasons teach you more than the mountaintop ever could. The setbacks, the delays, the frustrations, those are where your discipline is refined. You don't need perfect circumstances. You need relentless discipline. You don't need constant motivation. You need unshakable commitment. You don't need to feel ready. You need to start showing up like your life depends on it. Because it does. It does. Your future, your family, your legacy, it all depends on your ability to do what needs to be done over and over again, without excuse, without shortcuts, without waiting to feel in the mood. Discipline isn't glamorous. It's not loud. It's not always visible, but it works. It compounds. It builds. It separates. It wins that most people won't get it. They'll say you're obsessed, that you're too intense, that you need to relax. Let them talk. Let them chill. Let them waste time. You got something to build. You got a purpose to fulfill. You got work to do. You got a standard to hold. Because once you've seen the vision for your life, once you've tasted the potential of who you could be, you can't go back to average. You can't keep living like discipline doesn't matter. You can't keep making the same weak decisions and expecting powerful results. You've got to level. You've got to rise above the noise. You got to make discipline your daily fuel, not because it's easy, not because it feels good, but because it's the only way forward. Because it's the only way to unlock what's inside you. Because it's the only way to reach the level you were born for. So from this moment forward, make a decision, not a wish, not a hope. A decision to show up no matter how hard it gets. A decision to discipline your mind, your body, your habits. A decision to stop playing small, to stop making excuses, to stop waiting for the perfect time. The perfect time is now. The power you need is already inside you. But it won't activate through comfort. It activates through commitment, through consistency, through discipline. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be relentless. Every day, every rep, every step. So lock in, level up, and never back down. Because the life you want is waiting, but only discipline will take you there.